Welcome back to the Built Local podcast. Today we have Chris Reents from Rover Scoops calling in out of Portland, right?
Yep. We're in the suburbs, all of Portland.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Chris, thanks for hopping on. The first question I always ask is for someone who doesn't know who you are or your business is, tell us about yourself.
So yeah, grew up in the Northwest. So lifelong, resident of the Portland metro area. I spent 20 plus years in the technology world, had, working from home for 7 or 8 years, had kind of this, which was great, loved it. But as my kids were approaching college age and going to head out of the house, I felt I needed to do something to like get into the world and participate and get out of the house. So I got into a franchise right before this, the poop scooping industry. Did that for a couple of years, but this niche just, I don't know, it caught my attention. And the business is simple, but it's still business. And you have to, you still have to engage, you have to market, you have to have operations in place and scheduling and all that stuff. So, but it's super fun and it's a new niche. It's fun to see it really growing and exploding in the last year. And yeah, that's kind of my history.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you find the franchise originally? Like why poop scooping?
Well, so we're not, the poop scooping is not a franchise, but my previous business. Yeah. And I was with that business, I was just looking for, with that franchise, you're locked into the territory, right? Like you can't, however many people are there are the people that are there, and you can't cross borders into another franchisee's territory. So I was just trying to figure out ways other than, dumping more and more money into Google ads and things like that, find ways to promote the business, interesting maybe concepts that somebody else hadn't thought of. So I ended up in the YouTube black hole over a weekend and found out about the poop scooping. There's a couple guys up just north of here, Seattle and Spokane, who were putting out some YouTube videos around marketing and stuff and this niche. And yeah, I did a little research, and compared to what I was doing before, it just seemed like it was really something that could take off.
Yeah, for sure. And was the franchise you're in before, was that in a home service as well, or a different?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a moving and junk hauling company. Yep.
Okay.
So, just a lot of stress in that business, and it, working every day of the week. And it's an expensive business to be in, especially here on the West Coast in the moving industry anyway. Lots of regulations, lots of costly insurance, expensive trucks. But it was awesome. I learned a ton. I wouldn't do it over again, because that path led me to here. So I wouldn't be here if I hadn't gone through those hurdles and and some of the downsides in business.
Yeah, for sure. So walk us through when you started the poop scooping. When did you officially launch, and what were the first 3 to 6 months like?
Yeah, so it was probably about a year ago. So last late summer, early fall is when I got into when I found out about it, got into a couple of school communities, which was awesome, right? You can learn a lot in a couple of those, and had previous experience. So immediately I made the LLC. We came up with a name and started, building out the website, just getting things in place before launching. One of those big ones, we were talking about this before the call, but just having a way to manage leads, operations, communication with clients and being able to do it either automatically or at least having an app on your phone so you can, I knew I was going to have to, be out in the field for a little bit until we could get enough revenue to hire people. But yeah, having an app on your phone so you can communicate during the day, speed the lead, right? One of those things. So put a lot of things in place beforehand. We kicked off our ads. So Facebook ads and Google right at the end of the last year. Literally our first job was on January 1st. So I know most people take that day off, but we were excited. We went out and worked a couple jobs that day. So
yeah.
And then through, if you're familiar with the industry, at least in certain parts of the country, there's like the rush season, the spring rush. So here in Oregon, right, we've had an awesome summer. Business wise, it's been pretty flat. We lose some clients, we gain a couple, but once we hit November, Thanksgiving-ish through March, it's rainy and gray and people don't want to go out in their yard. And so we'll ramp up the ads and hopefully onboard a bunch of new clients.
Awesome. Okay. Love it. And so how many customers have y'all acquired and worked with over the last year?
Yeah, we're just north of around maybe 100 100 plus clients. I haven't looked this week, but they do come and go. I think
Yeah.
in the summertime, you end up, kids are, at least the feedback we've gotten from clients. Yeah, my kids are home for the summer. They're going to pick it up, or we're out in the yard anyway.
Mm.
People move, so one, actually, it's just side story on that. One of the, I don't know if you want to call it a tactic, but marketing moves. When we see me or any of the other technicians, if there's a house that goes up for sale, because the clients don't always tell us right away, we see a
Yeah.
sign get posted in the yard. They're supposed to grab a picture of that sign, text it to the office, and then me or somebody else, I'll reach out to that realtor and just hey, for the next folks that move in, we'll give them X amount of dollars off or a free month of service if they have pets, just to continue, because it's already on our route. And if
Yeah.
we can, so we know that it's going to be pretty close to another house. So that's something
Yeah.
interesting that we've done. It's worked out once so far, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's, I mean, huge for route density. Obviously, we know, like, in these types of services, route density is everything. So do you have some other tactics on how y'all are kind of promoting route density?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that, so Portland's, it's fairly big. It's not Seattle size, but there's, depending on what tool you look at, I mean, I would say somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million people. If you
Okay.
look at Google Ads for what we're, the broad number of folks, it's around 1.3 or 4 million. I know that some, like we went all out. So we divided the whole metro area up into 5 zones, and then Monday through Friday, and we stick to that. Like if somebody's out on the far east and that's on a Tuesday, normally, and they want us to come on Friday, we just politely apologize and say
Yeah.
we can't do that, but we're happy, why don't you try it out for a day on Tuesday, see how it
Yeah.
goes, and usually we can keep people on those days. But I think the really cool thing at this point is we're spread out at about as far as we're going to go for right now. So
Yeah.
every new client that gets added, it's filling in that route, and that's pretty fun when that starts to happen.
Real quick, if you're a local business owner and you want to start getting customers from Google, you know how important Google reviews are. Every week, I talk to business owners just like you across hundreds of industries who know reviews matter, but never seem to have the time or the system in place to actually get them. That's exactly why I've spent the last 2 years building Review Harvest. We built it with a non-tech savvy business owner in mind, so anybody can set it up in minutes and start getting reviews today. It automates the process of getting real reviews from your customers, responding to those reviews, and repurposing them across your website and across your social media platforms. It's a set it and forget it software. You can get it all set up in about 10 minutes and you never have to worry about reviews again. We can integrate into the tools you're already using, so you don't have to change a thing. You don't have to train your team on how to request reviews. You don't have to request them manually. You get customers, we get your reviews. It's simple as that. And the first play in our playbook is what we call a review reactivation. You probably have hundreds or thousands of previous customers who loved your service but never left your review. So a lot of times our users can double or even triple their reviews just in the first couple months of working with us when we do that review reactivation. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I mean, being able to hit 5 or 10 yards on the street is a total game changer for, poop scoopers.
Yeah,
That's
when you get houses in the same neighborhood, it's, I don't know, makes me
celebrate.
smile.
Yeah, celebrate, celebrate.
Yeah,
Love it.
it's awesome.
Okay, cool. So you said that from the beginning, you had set up some, lead nurture, having stuff on an app, so you have everything in one place. Making sure you can schedule stuff accordingly. So, what walk us through what that's like and how that's helped your business. Following up with leads and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, like we talked about, this is an easy business to get into, as far as you need a couple tools. In fact, I mean, the same rake and the same bucket that I've been using all year, I'm still using them, right?
Yeah.
So it's, and it's maybe a 30, 40, $50 investment right there. Then a car, some sweatshirts, swag, hats, whatever. And you can start going. But if you do want to start to thrive in this business, you're going to have to pay for ads if you want to grow quickly, and that's expensive, right?
Yeah.
And so you're competing with other businesses, and Google and Facebook aren't shy about taking your money. So yeah, so I think if you have a lead come in and your CAC's $100, 150, 200, whatever that is, even if it's just $50, if you only reach out to that person one time and then they're gone, I mean, you're leaving a lot of potential revenue and clients on the table, I feel like.
Yeah.
So having a way to automate that, having a way to, I think, so you don't forget. Like I want to put something in a system and then it reminds me. I don't want to have to be looking through a calendar book or something like,
Yeah.
oh, did I forget to do this? Like, because if it's on my mind, I'm not going to remember to do it if I don't have a
Yeah.
place to lock it in somewhere else. So we had some systems in place. We've utilized, we've built some technology on top of the Go HighLevel platform for lead nurture. So all the Facebook leads come in, they get, an automated message right away. You can stop this stuff at any time. They'll go into a short-term drip, so every few days, then we offer, X amount off or different coupons. And then if they, over say a 10-day period, we reach out to them 4 or 5 times. If they don't opt out or sign up, they go into a long-term drip. That's like an evergreen. So we do it monthly. So it'll spin, it can go January through December and then just roll over to the next year. So that person, if they never opt out or sign up, they'll be in that feed indefinitely. And then we use the Sweep and Go platform, which is pretty popular with the poop scoop industry. And so set up a lot of API direct integrations. You can get rid of some of the, the tools that are out there. That was the other thing, is just limit the amount of tools that we have to use as a business just to make it more efficient. So so direct connection with Sweep and Go. And if people don't know what Sweep and Go is, it's scheduling, billing. It's your main client, database. It's been an awesome platform for all of that. It's really good at route efficiency and, getting those jobs assigned to the techs for each day. But then they have a kind of an open API where you can then market how you want using other platforms. So it doesn't have to be like HighLevel, but that's what we've used. And so all the partial web quotes that come in on our quote page, those people are automatically remarketed to. We just ask for phone number. So really no lead goes untouched until they say stop. They text us stop or they become a client. So
I love it. So you talk a little bit about running ads and Google ads and Facebook ads. Walk us through your Facebook ads, kind of more that disruptive marketing. They don't have to necessarily search up poop scooping to find you. So what type of ads are you all running? Are you doing mainly video, mainly static ads with images, or are you doing, testing both? And how do you run those ads right now?
Yeah, so definitely not. This was not my area of expertise. Before we started, I had not run a Facebook ad. So, but there's, again, in some of the communities that exist, there's some tutorials on it. I mean, you can find anything you want on YouTube too, right? Pretty much. So, I'm sure it's not as good as it could be, but we're small. We're trying to grow. I'd love to hand the ads platforms off to to experts at some point, but we generated, I don't know, we've been close to 1,500, maybe almost 2,000 leads at this point. We really pulled back on the ad spend this summer, just kind of left a couple of them running for like an omnipresent strategy, but we'll ramp that up again here probably into next month. But I think, learning to film some video ads using Canva to overlay, our logo or phone numbers or whatever you want in that ad, making them short. We've put out a couple YouTube videos too. I feel like and if you have the static images with some videos, I feel like that's the best way to do it, because you're feeding that your target audience a little bit of both. I think the big thing I've seen is the videos tend to get way more, interactions, like even on social media, because we'll use the same videos in our social media posts and stuff, and a lot more interaction on 5 to 10 second videos than we get with static images.
Gotcha.
Have you seen that as well? I mean, would that be your opinion?
Yeah, no, I've been playing around with a lot of Facebook ad stuff. What I'm finding now is really Facebook is so good. It's one campaign, one ad set targeting, your area or whatever, and then it's adding 5 to 10 different ads, and then letting Facebook spend the money the way they do it. So have the ads don't have a set amount of spend per ad spend. Just do it for the ad set for the campaign and let it optimize from there. And that way, I think it's called CBO, campaign based optimization, or campaign budget optimization or whatever. And that way, what we've been finding with our own ads is just let Facebook spend money on the ads it's spending money on and kill the ones that aren't. And so even like we have photos, that will get really high conversion rate, and then we'll have images that don't get a very high conversion rate for, like, for example, like to book a call or something like that, right? We might get, most of our calls booked through this static ad, but Facebook's spending a bunch of money on this video. And so originally I was like, oh, well, we're not getting any conversions from this video, let me turn it off. But after like doing some research and then learning, we turn that video off. It's getting all this engagement, all these views, whatever. It might not be getting the conversions. And then the static ad starts underperforming. And it's because Facebook knows who's top of funnel, who's middle of funnel, who's bottom of funnel. And so Facebook will show the people that need to know you more, need more information, aren't really problem aware, the video. And then they'll remarket the static ad to those people that have already seen the video as a little bit of a warmed up audience. And so, yeah, you're converting all of the people on the image. And it doesn't have to always be an image. It's been videos for us as well too in the past. But you're converting them all there, but you're actually doing all the nurture and the warm up stuff with the other ads. So what we've replaced is we just say, hey, we're putting all our ads in this ad set based off who we're targeting this specific time. And then we just turn off the ones that Facebook's not spending money on and upload new ones and just let Facebook optimize itself, which has been really helpful. And we definitely are getting much better results since we started doing that.
So you're just because I mean, you can go find information. There's so much information out there, right? So a lot of times people will be like, I create a new campaign, and then have 3 ads in there, or 3 ads in that ad set, right? So, but you're just keep using the same campaign and just swapping out the images then.
We only time we change a campaign or change an ad set is if we're targeting somebody differently or we're doing a different offer, right? If we're taking them to like a book a call versus maybe a lead magnet, we'll do a new campaign for that. But if we're taking everybody to book a call and we're targeting the same people, we'll just put them all in that same ad set and then just keep adding new ads. And Facebook, I mean, the crazy thing is that Facebook's obviously getting hundreds of millions or billions of dollars a month from people. So they are heavily incentivized to figure out how to make people money. Whereas Google Ads is a little bit different because Google Ads, it's like, you got to be at the top. And if you're not at the top, you're not really getting that. And so I think there's this book called You versus Google, how basically like all the recommendations Google's trying to make are not necessarily in your best interest, because Google kind of needs everybody to get good enough results to keep spending and not just have like one person kill it, right? Because so focused on the keywords in the area and stuff. I haven't read that book in a while, so I can't really speak on it too much, but it's kind of interesting how it's different. But going back to poop scooping, you've been in it for about a year now. What do you think the biggest misconception for homeowners or for you getting in the poop scooping industry was?
I think, I mean, even me, I remember seeing like a yard sign in our neighborhood before I got into this. I was like, that's strange. Who's picking up poop in somebody's backyard? And so I think it's just awareness. People don't know it exists. And you do get a ton of social media comments like, you shouldn't own a dog if you can't pick up their poop, things like that. And I think being in this and actually working closely with our clients, you have people from all walks of life. You have elderly people who just can't get outside. They might be in a wheelchair or whatever, but they have dogs or want a dog, and so they need somebody to help with the waste removal. I mean, that one's very common. The other one is you've got a family or a couple that are working professionals, and when the winter comes, I mean, they leave the house when it's dark, they get home when it's dark, and they don't want to do it on the weekends. Yeah. So, being able to provide kind of a white glove service for some people in that, who are in that life family circumstances is super helpful to them. It's just like having the yard mowed, right? So I think that people don't realize really how appreciative clients are for the service we do, and it alleviates something that they don't want to do and gives them some time back. And it actually does something good. Like the dogs aren't running through it. People aren't stepping in it. It's getting removed from the yard. And, it's a viable service, which I didn't realize. And I think a lot of people are have a misconception about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now I see that too all the time. Like, hey, if you don't have a dog, if you can't pick up their poop, you shouldn't have a dog. But I get it on the surface, like, okay, I guess. But it's kind of a fallacy that can be applied to everything. It's like, oh, well, if you need to take your kids to daycare, you shouldn't have kids. It's like, well, is that the truth? Two things can be true. So, it's funny that it's people, you can apply that to anything. It's like you apply the cooking. You shouldn't have a kitchen if If you can't cook, I don't even know what I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
get
I
a
think for
point.
us, the biggest one that comes out is, yeah, if you can't mow your yard, you shouldn't have a yard. Like, it's the same
What?
thing, right? I mean, but landscapers, think of all the landscaping companies that exist, right? So yeah.
Well, talk about a time. I've read your reviews. Obviously, your customers love you. So, talk about a time y'all gone above and beyond for a customer, or just how y'all consistently try to provide a super valuable service.
Yeah, I mean, this one's, I feel like, I don't know, I feel it's always hard to talk about. I feel like the really good things that I feel like we're doing, like bragging
Yeah.
about us, but
Yeah.
probably the biggest one we had, I was chatting with a lady who wanted to sign up for service, and we had gotten her into the system, but just needed a few more billing details to finish it off and get her on the schedule. And then she kind of went quiet, and it's not necessarily unusual, but
Yeah.
typical follow up. A couple days went by and sent her another message, and she's like, "Yeah, unfortunately, I got hurt. I'm in the hospital. I'm gonna be here for at least a few weeks." And
Mm.
so I talked it over with my colleague, and we're like, well, her husband. She said her husband was at home with kids, and they have a couple dogs, and so he was trying to manage all that. And I said, well, why don't we just give him a month for free and help him out and like get the yard cleaned up? They don't have to worry about it, and let them worry about way more important problems and
Yeah.
issues. And yeah, and then they were super happy. Actually, we don't always meet the clients when we're at their
Mhm.
house, but I was able to meet the husband. They were super grateful and
That's
thankful. And so that makes you feel good when you can do things just out of, the goodness of your heart, and you have the ability as a business owner to make that decision. So that was awesome. And actually now they're long-term clients. Like they love the service, and yeah.
Hey, real quick, before we get back to the video, if you're a local business owner and you're serious about getting more customers from Google, I want to invite you to our free school community linked down below. Inside, you'll get weekly coaching calls where I can personally help you one-on-one, so you're never stuck wondering what to do next to get more customers. Once you join, we'll give you a custom-built ranking report to show you exactly how you're ranking against your competitors, and then we'll even show you the next couple things you can do to start ranking higher. We do all of these reports manually to make sure they're done right. You'll get our 50,000 Google review script, the same script we've used to help hundreds of businesses get over 50,000 reviews, showing you what to say, when to request a review, how to follow up and get that review without being annoying or awkward. And you'll even get a step-by-step checklist on how to optimize your Google Business profile to make sure you're ranking at the top of Google. Sometimes just making a few tweaks on that Google Business profile can be the difference between never showing up on Google and dominating your area. All in all, you'll get access to a community of business owners and experts trying to grow their business just like you. It's a safe space to ask questions and get more tailored one-on-one advice. It's 100% free. I don't have a coaching program or a course to sell you. Just click the link down below, join the community. We'd love to see you inside. Isn't that crazy how that works? It's like, sometimes, things that might not make the most sense for the business this month or next month end up making a lot of sense for the business in the long run. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm okay to lose a month's worth of service, but hey, there you go. They become a customer. And now it's a story. They're probably advocates of you. Anybody that asks them about it or talks about it, they probably share really good things about y'all. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think, I try not to, I'm old enough now that, and had enough life experiences that I just, it's, for me, morally, is this like, you just think, I know sometimes you've got dilemmas to face in business. Like there's stuff that you can't even imagine that, like right now, that will come up, right? Situations. And then if you just can go back and say like, okay, morally, what is the right thing to do here? And that steers me in life and my business now. And so, yeah, I mean, just even if they hadn't signed up for service, we would have felt good as people being able to help them out in their situation, even if they, and that's where the question came from. Like, are we doing this to be, to help a family out, or are we doing this to get, I don't know, a good review or whatever it is, right? But it came down to the first question. Like, even if they don't become clients, we're doing something good for somebody, and we can feel good about us, and we can move on from there if they don't stick around. So
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Well, with the growth of the poop scooping industry, and everybody and their mom started a poop scooping company. It seems like people that are watching YouTube videos and in the groups and stuff. It feels like everybody's getting into it. What's something that y'all do to try and set yourself apart from the competition?
Yeah, I think maybe just a little bit of what I was just talking about, right? Like just be if you can be kind, and we're in a world where I not to get all philosophical or whatever, but people are more isolated than ever, right? And so if you can get out and engage with them, like if you see them out in their yard, like have a conversation with them, if because a lot of times that might be if they're older and they don't get around much, and you might be the only outside person that they see that for a few days, right?
Yeah.
So just ask them how your day's going, have a little conversation with them, and don't necessarily just always be in a rush to get to the next job. Like engage with people,
Yeah,
and yeah.
sure. No, I love it. I love it. The you talked about ads, talked about this, and I think we talked about it a little bit before the call. Kind of your biggest mistake marketing wise, your biggest lesson marketing wise. What's something you've had to get over on the marketing side and the ad side to really grow your business?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's again just with the nature of the seasonality of this niche. You can you there's certain numbers and targets that you want to hit for your cost per acquisition in this niche, and that's just from talking with other businesses, poop scooping businesses that have been around for a while. They've been doing it for years, right? Like
Yeah.
there's some numbers there based on your lifetime value. Here's kind of what you should spend to acquire one customer. And we let our ads kind of run for too long, and we were way over what we should be applying for cost per acquisition. So that's one. But I think the other thing is, there's a little bit of a fear factor in turning on that knob, right? For ads. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna throw you're if you're dabbling around $5 or $10 a day, and you're like, okay, we're gonna go to $125 a day, which is gonna be a few $1,000s this month. Is anybody gonna show? Like, are we gonna get any clients from that? That's scary. That's really scary, especially from
100%.
scratch. And if you don't have like little buffer built up in to help with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big one. And I think hopefully if I can kind of project what we hope to happen this winter, it'll kind of be the opposite. We know that the ads are going to work. We're going to get the leads, so we'll turn on that flow, and then we're gonna be at another point where, we got a lot of clients now. We got to
Yeah.
hire people. We got to get them onboarded, more people onboarded, more vehicles, right? So now you're in a different. You just get into a different world, and that's how
Yeah.
that's the different phases of business, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, if you spend $4,000 on Facebook ads and don't get very many customers, Facebook isn't going to send you a handwritten card and apologize and send you a refund. It is very scary, especially because of how the lack of personal connection with Facebook. It's like I'm spending the money and I'm hoping for a good result. But I
Yeah,
think, like you said, when you're starting small, if you do have enough data to say, okay, this is working, it should work at a larger scale. Obviously, some stuff will fatigue a little bit, but yeah, what were y'all? I think you started Review Harvest a couple months ago. What were y'all doing for reviews before Review Harvest?
it was so we can manual, right? Like
Mhm.
just there's a couple automations that had set up in the HighLevel like
Mhm.
snapshot that I built. But what I like about your platform is, it grabs in, throws in a picture and the name, and can really tailor it to whoever that message is going out to, right? Because if you can't, you need some sort of hook, and that's just something to catch their attention, right? So that's what I really like about Review Harvest. And then the new interface and dashboard that you guys have built is pretty slick. Being able to just turn off everything or remove a contact, add them back in, all that stuff it's pretty simple to do in there.
Yeah, love it. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you got started with us, I think you had about 20 reviews or something like that. And then now I think you're sitting at 60 reviews in just
Yeah.
two and a half months.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Killing it.
It's
So
going well. It's great. Yeah. I love it.
yeah, what would you say? A lot of people don't know. Obviously, we tell people all the time, reviews are not going to help you make payroll this week. Like if you need to make payroll this week, like reviews are more of a long-term strategy. What would you say to somebody that doesn't really understand the value of reviews or if reviews are important or not?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot of this on the, in my last and previous business, businesses. And I think that a couple things, right? You want to show up on that first page organically, like in that map pack for Google, and reviews will get you there. So I think that's the biggest one. I think, and then obviously having a good Google My Business page with all your information in there, that just helps Google get you into that map pack. I think, and it's extremely important, right? People aren't, when they're searching in Google, they're not going to the second page. They just aren't,
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah.
So I think, and then the other thing, to be quite honest, is I mean, for me, you probably too. I mean, if you're looking to go out to a restaurant or whatever it may be, or a landscaping service or whatever, you're going to look at the reviews. That's what everybody does. So
Yeah.
if you don't have any, or they're really bad, then as a business, I think you'll struggle to bring in those new clientele.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Well said. But as we kind of close out here, what is the plan for this time? So this time next year, what's the goal for Rover Scoops? Where do y'all want to be at? Maybe customers wise or technicians wise?
Yeah, this point next year, I'm hoping that, I think we have a good plan in place to get to, by say April, get to over 300 clients. I think I think that's a conservative number, and sometimes it's hard to get your mind to even think 3x, 5x, 10x. I think for us, this, bar none, it'll be $1 million business. It's just a matter of, I think, still in our first year, like what's this next, what are these next few months going to look like? And then we can extrapolate that out. So, and look at, okay, more advertising, where can we dial in efficiencies, where can we dial in operations, and all of that. And then you kind of know about how many clients a tech can service on a monthly basis. So that number is pretty easy to get to. So yeah, I think hiring a couple more people, through the winter, which means a couple more fleet vehicles, and just keep growing. Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Love
Yeah.
it. We always close out with a question for you. Most people listening to this are home service business owners. Maybe they're trying to grow their business. Maybe they're listening to this because they are struggling to grow their business and maybe in a hard time. And so what would you say to somebody that's trying to start their business, start their home service business, but seeing, having some struggles to grow? What's some piece of advice you'd have for them?
Yeah. So if it kind of depends on what their goal is, and not to make the question or the answer
Yeah, yeah,
longer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think if it's something that you want to do, and you want to go self-employed, do it on your own. I mean, you can get a rake and a bucket and a car and a few $1,000s and start advertising. You're going to have to roll that money that you do make right back into ads for a few months, it's kind of depending on what niche you're in. But then, once you get to 50 or 100 clients, I mean, if you've got 100 clients and they're paying you $100 a month on average, I mean, you have a 6-figure business right there.
Yeah.
And you alone could go do that and run that and be fine. But if it's something that you want to grow, it really is no different than create an LLC, get insurance, like go through the pieces to make it legit. Because we've been bitten on a job. I got bit on a job and it was bad. So that's a side story, but that was by no means like my fault. So, dogs creep through a electric fence that the client opened, it wasn't supposed to open. And then just, and there you're just in that situation. So you do need some things in place just so you're covered. And that's where I think the business part of business can kind of get a little expensive. So but as you grow, if you want to grow something bigger, you got to get through the fear of spending money, and you got to pour it back into the business. And it's a long-term game, not a short-term
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not for the faint of heart, right? Like you said, if you're trying to get into it just to be self-employed and make some money here and there, then yeah, maybe that's good. You can do great with that. But if you're trying to grow it for real and make it a big business, 7-figure plus business, like you're trading your nine. If you're working 9 to 5, you're trading your 9 to 5 for a 24/7. Like if you really get bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, like you will think about your business every single day, and it will be, I guarantee, more stressful than whatever job you're working right now. So
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, it's a living, breathing animal, right? Like you can't neglect it. You're either green and growing or brown and dying, right? So if you're not feeding it, your business is not going. It's going to suffocate and get taken over by by somebody else's business.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure. Well, Chris, this was great. I really appreciate you hopping on, sharing with us how you grown to over 100 customers in about a year. It's insane. And yes, shed some light on lead nurture, ads, spending money, all that sort of stuff. But if anybody has any questions for Chris, they want to talk about lead follow up, talk about how he's using HighLevel, just talk poop scooping, whatever. We'll have Chris's website and stuff linked down below in the description and the show notes if you're listening to the podcast. So yeah, Chris, thanks for hopping on and have a great day.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Clay.
See ya.